We use Anchor to create our podcast.
Mischief, Magick, and Musings.
It's super easy. And the bonus, it's free.
And it's super simple. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right on your computer or even your phone.
Anchor will even distribute your podcast for you on many platforms. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and a lot of others.
And you can also make money right away with no minimum listenership.
It's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place.
So download the free Anchor app.
Or go to Anchor FM to get started.
Because like the magic we talk about in our podcast, if we can do it,
anybody can.
Like really.
Really.
Hello, everybody.
Good evening.
And welcome to the second episode of Mischief, Magick, and Musings with Niko and the Witch.
I am Lydia, the Witch.
And I am Thomas. I am Niko.
Yes. Tonight we are going to talk about spirit guides. What they are, how they work, how we connect with them. And just remember that everything we share is from our experience. It is not necessarily your truth, but it's what we have experienced.
Yep. So, we're just sharing our experiences to help you find the magic in your own life, in your own way.
Yes, yes. So take from it what you will.
Yeah.
Okay.
So starting off with the definition by Wikipedia, a spirit guide in Western spiritualism is an entity that remains as a disincarnate spirit to act as a guide or protector to a living incarnated human being.
What that means in layman's terms, Thomas?
It's that voice that's in your head, your conscience, that gut feeling, whatever you want to call it.
We've all had those moments where we, for instance, driving home from work and for some reason you go a different direction than you normally would, only to find out later on that on your normal route home there was an accident. Mm-hmm. And you don't know why you decided to go that way. We attribute those to our spirit guides leading us and telling us and guiding us and keeping us safe. Yep. A little bit about my belief, and again, my belief is that we all have a panel of spirit guides. We have several of them. I don't know how many everybody has. I don't know how they get assigned to us or how they choose us. I just know that in my experience, I know I have several of them. I've had, for the longest time, I had a gentleman named George. I say gentleman because I felt like it was a male entity. His name was George. And he would teach me things and show me things. And then he kind of faded away because I believe that whatever is going on in your life, you're going to have one spirit guide that is predominant that meets whatever it is that you're supposed to be learning or evolving into. When I was going to start my shop, opening up the broom closet, I had a woman named Noni that was teaching me how to get things together and work things out. And then when I started teaching classes, I had this lovely spirit guide that was called Woman in the Moon, and she was a diva. And I can say that. She gets angry when I do, but I still, because she's this beautiful floating being. She wore a long blue gown, and her hair was long and black and always flowing. She was always like floating around. And whenever I wanted to speak to her, I had to recite her name 3 times. Woman in the moon, woman in the moon, woman in the moon. And then she would come and guide me, which was sweet and it's pretty, but I'm a very basic witch. Not that I like pumpkin spice or anything, but I'm very basic.
There's nothing wrong with liking pumpkin spice. Do not call me out on that.
But it's just very basic, and I'm not real fancy when it comes to my practice, and so it just felt kind of odd to do that. And then she helped me, learn to be a better instructor. And then I switched over to Jean. Jean I had for several years. Jean is this older entity. I picture her smoking Pall Malls. She has this real raspy voice, and she cut to the chase. She was no nonsense. Lydia, pull your head out your ass. Get this shit done. What is wrong with you? You don't have a lot of time. Yeah, she love her, but she was very, very, very hard on me, which is what I needed. And now I have an entity, and she's revealed her name is Lorelei. And I'm not sure. I've only had her for about maybe a month, but I haven't worked a lot with her yet. But she is very to the point. It's almost like kind of like a secretary personality. just this is what you have to do. Lydia, you have a 10 o'clock here, you have an 11 o'clock here. Now let's get organized. That kind of a thing, because I think I need that now. But it's funny because whatever point I was in my life, that entity came forward and helped to guide me. Um, so Lorelai is helping me get organized, because for everyone that knows me, I have a good heart and I mean well, but I am so disorganized, right, Thomas?
Yes, in the best way.
It's all controlled chaos.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Thomas?
My beliefs the same as yours. I very much believe that we have a panel of guides, and at any time, any one of them, depending on what we need, can come through. My first spirit guide that I ever had a relationship with, her name was Evelyn, and she was very flowy and ethereal, and she was always backlit, and it was just billowing fabric and hair, and she was around really when I was really coming into my non-binariness and all that, and just kind of going with it, just kind of being. Now, I have a mantis that comes around, and he is very no nonsense, like what you say with Gene. He's very much like, this is the fuck you need to do. This is what needs to happen. Just do it. I don't know why you're not doing it. And there's no spatial time. Like it's this, and then 5 minutes later, it's why haven't you done all that yet? It's like it's been 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And then my other one, her name is Crystal Bethany, and she is a very beautiful, shiny mermaid. And she's very like go with the flow, very quick and like and like so depending on what I need, it's if I need like that structure and you need to get it done, the mantis comes through, and then if I just need to kind of go with it, Crystal Bethany comes in, and they're very much here at the same time, like just depending on what I need, like what's going on. So
What's really odd too is that I've never. I mean, I guess they can be whatever they need to be because they're all of the spirit realm, and they can just, I guess, pretty much do what they want to do when they want to do it. Thomas and I we have one that we share. We were doing some Ouija work, and she came through. Her name was Lisa, and she was a spirit guide for the two of us. And we're not sure how that's gonna work yet.
Yeah, she hasn't come back since then.
But yeah, she was talking to us for at great length one evening and just telling us what we're going to be doing and how we need to do it and where we're going to go and all this. And we just it was weird because it was a spirit guide that was for the both of us.
That was for both of us. Yeah.
So we stay tuned because we have no idea.
That may be a whole episode in and of itself.
No kidding. There are many types of spirit guides.
Yeah, they can be just about anything. They can be angels, ancestors, spirit animals, even gods and goddesses, or ascended masters and enlightened beings. You want to talk a little bit on what an ascended master is?
Yes. Go ahead.
Oh, I can do. Okay. So the ascended masters are believed to be like individuals who have lived in physical bodies. They've acquired all the wisdom and mastery needed to become the higher beings, kind of like karma, like the reincarnation where you live all your lives until you have all the knowledge you need to know, and then you go on to this higher plane. And they're the ones that they come back and help us.
And with spirit guides too, and I don't know how I know this other than from my spirit guides and trusting my spirit guides that they can come and go as they please, and their only function becomes guiding us and helping us. And again, I don't know how they choose us. I don't know how they're assigned to us, but I know that they are just for us individually.
And yeah, the big one thing I feel the need to say is like when I started working with my spirit guides, I very much had this thing that it needed to be some grandiose thing. Like I was the opposite of the like.
Yeah, we'll get to that later on.
Oh,
we'll talk about practicing with them.
Never mind.
So, stay tuned.
Welcome to controlled chaos.
The next type of spirit guide are the ancestors. And ancestor spirit guides are connected to you through your familiar lineage. It's your direct line of
Mhm.
ancestors. They can be a guardian or a protector for you. They can also assist in repairing the genetic scarring from traumas that have happened down your lineage. So, for instance, if your great great grandmother had some great trauma, and they're showing, and I know this too because I'm a certified registered reflexologist, and in my courses we were talking about epigenetics, which just totally blows my mind because my head cannot hold that much information. But they were saying that some of the trauma that our ancestors have
Endured.
endured, I couldn't find the word, endured, possibly can show up in our genetics. And so that comes to us. There's some people we know that have a fear of water and they don't know why.
Mhm.
Me, I am so claustrophobic. We don't know why, because that's
Yeah.
not like anybody's ever locked me in a closet or
Yeah. The
anything.
basement.
Um, yeah, so they're thinking that some of that stuff could trace back to your genetics. With that, your ancestors, if you start working with your ancestors, they can help you find the answers to that and possibly heal that family tree. Um, and another great way to work through those kind of epigenetic issues too is through shadow work. But that's another topic for
For
another
another
day.
day. Yeah.
So those are the ancestors, and there are loved ones. They're who are connected to us through the familiar lines.
Mhm. The next one are the spirit animals. Spirit animals kind of share the information that you need to help balance and grow your life. The qualities of a spirit animal are all the attributes of a particular animal's entire species. And even with that, um, you can have your own experience with what your spirit animal is. Um, like yours, Lydia, was a squirrel, like squirrels and.
And see that's something, because if people are drawn to animals
Mhm.
and you don't know why you're drawn to
Yeah.
animals, typically I find that as I work with people that is
Yeah.
their spirit animal.
Mhm.
When I was telling Thomas earlier that when I started practicing by myself and doing my ritual by myself outside, and um, raccoons would always show up, or squirrels would show up, and we meet people and like, oh yes,
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh.
my
You'll
spirit
get people.
animal.
My spirit guy. My spirit animal is a raven riding it on a purple dragon.
And I'm like, cool, mine's a squirrel and a
Mine's
raccoon.
mine's an ant and like a ladybug or something, like a deer. Mine's a deer. They.
But then when you're drawn to these animals, and like
Mhm.
when I went, because I got, it's a raccoon, it's a trash panda. But then I looked it up, and they're
Uh,
very resourceful. They know how to get out of a bind. Squirrels, they're all over the place. Hello,
yeah.
but they get their
They
shit
get their
done.
shit done.
They get their nuts hidden for the
Mhm.
winter. That's so I love those two. Those
Yeah.
those two are mine.
And I think a lot of people you want the cool animal, like
Everybody wants the
you
wolf.
want you
Everybody wants the lion. And it's
yeah
like, dude,
yeah they and
I have a
it's
squirrel and I
yeah.
love it.
And like who would have thought, like my man, it's very much about being still. Mantises are about being still and observing, and I am horrible with that. So it's kind of what you need to like aspects of that animal, even and to put it into your own life and kind of put it into your own practice so you can grow more.
Right. So the next one we're talking about are the elemental spirits. And those are usually the sylphs, the
The
undines,
undying.
salamanders, and gnomes, those type. Those are the elemental spirits. They are said to be the spirit of things that inhabit the nature areas, such as trees, mountains, rivers, creeks. There's a place here in town. We're in Burlington, Iowa, right along the muddy Mississippi, and there's a lot of creeks and natural parks here in town.
Mhm.
There's one that's called Stars Cave, and it has this creek that flows through it, and there are just so many. Um, there's so much magic there. There's so many entities there, and I have this grove of trees that I go to, and I connect to them when I'm feeling tired, when I'm feeling lost, when I'm feeling broken. I go to this one particular tree. It's a sycamore, and I just lean on him, and he's even told me his name, and I just sit there and I just go and I connect with my energy with his energy, and it's healing. Um, Very, very cool. That's where tree huggers come from. When stuff is getting too crazy and you can't even think, go find a tree and just touch it and just will all of your anxiety thing into that tree. and then listen to what he has to say to you, because they will speak to you.
Yeah, with me, it's if I need to speak, we live right on the Mississippi. Just going, I feel very comfortable near bodies of water, and especially moving and just going and sitting by the Mississippi and just staring at it and watching it flow. And it's very peaceful and calming, and knowing that things are under the surface and it's just teeming with life. And it settles me. Like,
That's that elemental spirit
mhm,
of the undines.
of the
Undines. The
if
sylphs are of the air. Undines are of
of
water.
water, yes.
Salamanders are of fire, and gnomes are of earth. They're all the elements: air, fire, water, earth. Oh, does that happen by mistake? Think not.
Perhaps not.
Okay, so we're going to talk next about how to contact your spirit guides and how to begin working with spirit guides. But first, we have some announcements we'd like to share.
Announcements during Mischief, Magic, and Musings with Niko the Witch are brought to you by The Broom Closet in Burlington, Iowa. The Broom Closet, your one-stop juju shop. Find us on Facebook. Transition. A new thing that we found out, if you are listening to our podcast on anchor.fm, the platform that we use to make the podcast, you can leave voice messages with your questions or comments for us. Or you can find us on Facebook. Just look for Mischief, Magic, and Musings, and you'll know it's us because our profile picture is the same one as the picture for your podcast. I don't know why I explained that. Like, you guys aren't smart already.
We do have some upcoming events that we wanted to share with you guys that is sponsored by the Broom Closet. We have we're not sure if it's the fourth or fifth. I lose count.
It's the
fifth annual, fourth annual. You sure?
Yeah.
Okay. Fourth annual Metaphysical Fair. It is at the Port of Burlington on April 25th. We have readers and vendors and all kinds of cool people that are going to be there hanging out. It's from 10 o'clock a.m. till 5 o'clock p.m., $5 entrance fee. That is the Southeast Iowa Metaphysical Fair. We also have our big one that's coming up for the summer solstice.
Jujubilee.
It is our summer solstice Jujubilee. It is on June 19th through the 21st. It's going to be in Wapello, Iowa, which is just a little north from here. It's going to be rituals, shenanigans, and we have Kellyanna, the beautiful pagan songstress Kellyanna. Will be there to do ritual and give us a concert on Saturday night. It's a 3-day event, but we do have day passes for Saturday. So all that information will be on
the website
at
www.sacredearthsociety.net.
And that link will be on our Facebook page.
That will be all of the events that we've spoke about now, and will be on our Facebook page for you to follow the link to find, so you can come find us and play.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about how do you contact your spirit guide. Of course, there's all these books out there, and they're very good. There's all this different knowledge, but Thomas and I they're the basic witches.
With everything that's out there, there's the one great thing about all of our paths is there's no right or wrong truth. Like, your truth is your truth,
right?
And it is beautiful.
And so it makes it. We're just trying to make it accessible and easy. So to contact your spirit guide, all you really need to do, you do need to kind of ground a little bit and maybe close your eyes and just listen. And then invite them in. Invite them to make you aware of their presence. And then you I feel, I try to be really stickler with this because I don't want you to think that there's only one way to do this. What I do is I invited them and I gave them permission to guide me. When I did that, I was acknowledging their presence and I was acknowledging the fact that I know that they are here to help me and to guide me. And once I did that, holy guacamole, they started. So when I very first began, I asked them to, well, when I was in high school, my spirit guide George would just show up. I mean, I would be in class and he would appear in the corner of the class smiling at me. You can imagine a young high school Roman Catholic girl with this man appearing to her. Of course, everybody thought it was Satan and the devil and I was crazy. Turns out later on, realized it was George. And but still, him popping out of nowhere frightened me. Even on my path when things pop out of nowhere, it startles you. So I asked him, I gave him permission to guide me. I acknowledged him as for who he was, but I asked him to please come to me in my dreams because that's a very non-invasive way to communicate with me. And it didn't scare the shit out of me. Once we started working together, there was different ways that or different implements that I started using to speak to my spirit guides. And the more you work with them on a daily basis, the more in tune with them you will be, the more you will hear them in your mind. I also work as a dental assistant during the week, and sometimes I'm having conversations. It was really bad when Gene was still really predominant because I'd have conversations with Gene, and I didn't realize that mine of the conversation was out loud. And luckily, all my coworkers know what I do. They're like, Lydia, you need to tone it down. We can hear you talking to Gene. Oh, sorry, talking out loud. But anyhow, so the more you do it, the more you invite them, the more open you are. Be prepared though, because they will start manifesting themselves to you almost immediately. It's kind of comforting and it can be kind of frightening in the
Yeah.
beginning, but it just reassures you that you are never alone.
Yeah.
There are times when we all feel that we are lost and just lonely and no one is there for us, and that is not true because you have this whole panel
Mhm.
of people on the other side that want nothing but the best for your higher self, and they nothing but love for you.
But it's yeah, when especially the first time I ever heard my spirit guide's voice, I as much as I've walked the path and stuff, I still had a freak out moment. And I knew it wasn't anything bad and I knew it was my spirit guide. But it's still one of those moments where like, holy crap, like it works because then it opens up all these doors. And for me, like, and what I found with a lot of people working out of the broom closet is a really good way to start is with a pendulum. They
Pendulums.
are, and I still go back to them. Like with my new spirit guides, I'll use a pendulum. They're a really great way to get yes or no answers, to really start the conversation and get comfortable with their presence around you in a very non-evasive
And it's very empowering
way.
because when you're speaking with them using the pendulum, you actually see it moving, and then you realize that it's real. And a pendulum, we sell them at the shop, and you can get them at any metaphysical store. And I mean, there are all kinds of beautiful ones, but a pendulum is just a weighted object. You could have a string. There's sometimes I'm at the store and I need an answer, and I'll use my keys. It's anything that's a weighted object, anything that will swing freely when you ask it the yes or no questions. Um, and using the pendulum, I think we all start with the pendulum because it's very basic and it's very simple.
Yeah, it's super easy.
And you can get little pendulum altar cloths that you can use,
Yeah,
and there's some elaborate ones that have the letters to get it
yeah,
swinging that way. I always just use the yes or no.
yeah. It makes it more tangible. I think it's a great way to make it more real. Like you said, real. It makes it more material.
Yeah, and when you see it moving,
And
because
yeah,
because and some people say, well, that's your higher self answering. Well, maybe it is, but maybe it's your spirit guide who's working for your higher
hmm
self. And you know in your heart of hearts if you are fooling yourself.
yeah,
You know that. So even when you do tarot for yourself or any kind of divination for yourself, you can seek out the answers you want to know, but you know you're doing that. So you know those answers are going to be false. So you have to be honest with yourself. Um, and using a pendulum to converse with your spirit guide is something that is very reassuring
mhm,
that you're doing the right thing. Um, a way that you can find out your spirit guides' names. We're telling you all the names of our spirit
Yeah.
guides. Is what I do is when I feel I have a new spirit guide coming on, and you'll know as you start practicing, you will know because it'll feel different. Um, the atmosphere, the voice may change. So you take your pendulum and you hold it still, and I always ask, "Are you a new one?" And it'll swing yes or it'll swing no. It's almost always yes. And then I say, "Okay, I need to know your name." So I hold my pendulum very still. I close my eyes, and the first name that comes into my mind, Joe Bob. Is your name Joe Bob? It'll say yes or it'll say no, and that's how you know the name.
Mhm.
But the pendulum is a very basic. Every little magical person should have at least one or 10
It's the basics of
pendulums.
basic witchery.
Yes, right. It can even smell like pumpkin spice if you
It
want.
can.
But that is a very basic tool that every magical person should have in their repertoire.
And like you
Um,
said, it doesn't have. You can go if you feel the need to go to your local metaphysical shop or the broom closet and get the fanciest one that they have there because it makes you feel magical. Then that's great. But you can still cut a piece of ribbon, go out into your garden, and tie a rock to the end of the ribbon, and
mhm.
it works just as well.
Or a necklace. If
Or
you're wearing a
yeah,
necklace, take it off.
yeah,
Use your necklace as that. It's very simple. This and we're not trying to take the magic out of magic,
the mystic,
the
yeah,
mystic
the mysticism,
because
yeah,
it's very basic. It's a very basic
empowering
ability
thing.
that we all have, and we're just helping you to get back to how you're created to be.
Mhm.
So, yeah, just whatever you have at home is fine. I mean, if you want to come shopping and support your local metaphysical store, that's great too. Keep the lights on.
Yep.
Another way to interact with your spirit guide is through a tarot or oracle card reading.
Yeah. And
And you don't have to go to anyone
mm-mm,
and pay if you have your own little deck at home. Just do a one card read.
yeah,
Again, ask your question, shuffle the cards, pull one card, and see what they say to you. But if you are cheating yourself,
yeah.
if you're just making it to where it's the answer that you want it to be, you know your truth. You know yourself better than anyone else,
Mhm.
and so does your spirit guide.
Yeah, and the tarot deck and the oracle cards, and everyone's tool is different. Like tarot deck and oracle cards are what work for me. Like I use an oracle card every morning. I have a personal deck that I don't do use on for readings for other people, and I get up and the first thing I do in the morning is I shuffle my cards and what do I need to know for the day, and I'll flip it over and I'll look at it, and if it comes with the book, I'll read it, and it really gets the conversation for the day started so I can get guided in the way that I need to go. And that's the one that I find that works best for me is the oracle cards. Another tool that a lot of people use, which is Lydia's talk to text, is the Ouija board.
I love my Ouija. I love my Ouija because the pendulum tends to give me yes or no,
Mhm.
and the squirrel in me needs more information. So I feel like that's texting the other side when I use my Ouija board. And again, I don't know, for any of you who've Ouija'd, you're not moving that planchet to where
Yeah.
you want it to be. It doesn't make any sense to do that. So that's what that keeps me very honest and
And
very in tune with my spirit guides. And that's actually how I find out their names now. I use my pendulum every once in a while, but mainly I go to my Ouija board. And we'll do another talk on divination and all the different implements. But let me tell you about the Ouija board. You are not going to conjure up any demons. You are not going to open up a portal.
no,
Okay? So let me just say that disclaimer. At least I've never have. I haven't
I
yet.
have
And I've
no.
been using it for years now.
You'll just get those people that if you're a dick in life, you're a dick in death. And they come
Yeah.
through and they see it's
Yeah.
someone new and they're like, hee 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 hee. I'm just gonna
Yeah.
mess with them a little bit and freak people out. Cause I mean, I think I'm gonna do
Right.
that when I go.
So those are
Yeah.
some ways to learn who your spirit guide
Yeah.
are and to communicate with them.
Get the
Um,
process started.
and then you want to make sure that you do it daily in the beginning. I would say every day,
Mhm.
spend some time or just say hello to them because then you'll find out that if you don't, they'll start getting your attention in other ways. Now it's important though when you are starting out though. I need to tell you this, that you might feel tingles. You might feel like a sensation of like ants crawling on your skin. Mine, I always feel it at my third eye and on top of my skull, just tingles, and that lets me know that I'm communicating. And if I'm not communicating with them, I know that they need me to. That's how they contact me. They start tingling on me. It's like, oh, I gotta go talk to them. I'll be right back. So just be aware of that. As you start tiptoeing back and forth through the worlds, because that's what you're going to be doing between the two realms. As you speak with your spirit guides, you want to make sure that you drink plenty of water and you eat something
Yeah.
and you get rest. Because I know when I first started doing my Ouija board, it was the coolest thing I've ever done before, and I would do it all the time. I was getting lightheaded a lot because I wasn't grounding afterwards. If you drink something and eat something, that's almost like instant grounding. So just make sure you take care of yourself too.
Yes. Um, Another important thing too, when you start working with your spirit guides, you're going to be getting a lot of things come through that may not make sense. And the best thing that you can do is write it down, is keep a journal.
Put it in your
Put it in your
grimoire.
grimoire, put it in a loose leaf notebook, write it on a bunch of scratch paper you've stapled together and keep it by your bed. But just write it down so that later on, um, later on, you can go back and read it and be like, oh, that's what this was, and this is
I go back and read my stuff from years ago. I'm like, oh my gosh, what were you thinking, girl?
yeah. I'm going through and like doing the Marie Kondo thing with all the drawers, and I just found my first one from when I first started coming
Mm,
around, and I was reading it, and I was like, who was
yes.
this little baby pagan that was just oh
So yeah, write it down. Write it down somewhere and keep
hmm
it. They may not make sense to
yeah.
you, but another thing to do too, I always tell people when they first come to me is if you have a question that you're searching for the answer,
hmm
write it down on a piece of paper next to your nightstand before you go to bed at night and ask them to give you the answer in your dream. When you wake up the next morning, write it all down. Whatever your dream was about, if you can remember, write it
Yeah.
down. And then it may not make sense right away, but later on it might. Um, but yeah, have them come to you in a dream because if you're starting out, I would say start that way because that way you won't be kind of freaked out. Because it when you start getting answers to stuff
Yeah.
and you start hearing them in your mind, which you might already hear,
hmm
you're not crazy. That's what you're hearing. You're hearing your spirit guides. But once, like I said before, once you give them permission, they start. It's like that. If you build it, they will come. If you invite them, they're gonna
They're going to
guide you.
show
They're
up.
gonna show up and they'll show up in force.
Yeah. And you'll start, yeah, like what you said with the tingles, and they may come in the smell, or you might get impressions. But a big thing too when you first started out, and I had a lot of trouble with it, was every little thing I thought was a guide trying to get a hold of me, or to like I'd
Yes.
randomly smell lavender and be like, oh my god, it's my new spirit guide. What's their
We're
name?
like, no, it's a cup of
And
lavender
it's
tea I
like I
just
just made
drank.
tea.
I just made tea and I
Yeah.
just burped lavender, Thomas. That's what it
That's what it
was.
was. Yeah. And I still find myself doing it where it's like, oh my gosh, what is it? You Google it and you get lost in it. But it's really learning to trust yourself and knowing when it's your guide and when it's just someone making tea and that's burped their lavender.
And you'll know,
Yeah.
and it's fun, and it's empowering, it's uplifting, it's freeing. It gives you a little more control of your life, and the direction your life goes into. So just try it. If you have any questions, about this, if you have any comments,
Mhm.
if you go and you try this, go to Anchor FM and leave us a voice message,
Yep.
or go to our
Go to
webpage,
our Facebook page and send us a message.
and let us know because I would love to hear how,
Yeah.
how it worked for you.
Or if you're practicing this, let us know what works for you. What's the best way, the easiest way for you to connect with your guides that
Because we want to make this simple for everybody.
yeah.
Because we feel that if everyone gets in tune with their abilities and if everyone makes their little part of the universe as beautiful and as free and as loving as they can, it would be a really great place to be.
Mhm.
We have a lot of stuff going on right now in our country.
Yeah.
We have elections coming up. So if we all are responsible for our little area and just kind of groom it the way it should be, we can really make a difference.
Hmm.
So yeah, just come on the page and let us know what worked for you. If you have any questions about it, please, we're just one click away.
Yes.
All right,
Oh,
so we're gonna take just a little.
We're just going to take a quick moment and then we'll be back with the pagan artist of the week. And we're back.
We're back. We are back. This is a new part of our. Well, it's not new because it's only our second.
Well, it's
podcast.
still new. It's new to us
It's
too.
very
It's
new.
great.
We've decided that we are going to share every podcast one of our favorite pagan artists and one of our favorite songs by them. So, of course, I'm starting tonight with one of my favorites, Mama Gina. Mama Gina comes out of Southern Florida, and she is an amazing bard. Her stories, her music, her voice, so powerful. I am going to share the song called Collapse. It comes from her album, I Remember Love. You can find her on Spotify, and you can find her at mamaginamusic.com. She has all of her recordings there. She's a beautiful, beautiful bard.
I
Here
will
we
also
go.
be putting her link on our Facebook page, so be sure to find that too.
Okay, so here's Collapse by Mama Gina. And we do have permission to use this.
Leaving footprints in the stardust that paves this ancient road. Sometimes I get to say goodbye, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I leave before you wake, sometimes I stay too long. But there's an I love you between the lines of all that I've done wrong. I wasn't made for missing you, my soul is best in flight. The ancient ones are calling me to get this story right. Oh, we're all made of stardust, and when the light dims fast, we will find each other's imprints in eternity's collapse. Oh, you don't have to wait for me. We are so much more than this eternity. You and I, you and I, you and I, you and I, we'll dance in eternity's collapse. So live life like a meaning, as I have surely done. Somewhere down that stardust road, we'll be the ancient ones. We'll show up in another's dream. They will write us down, and we will live forever as our love does here and now. And you don't have to wait for me. We are so much more than this eternity. And you and I, you and I, you and I, you and I, we'll dance in eternity's collapse. We'll be dancing when time disappears. peace as we danced before the stars. And every step I take along this road is a love note to your heart. In eternity's collapse.
So that was Mama Gina. Her album was I Remember Love. The song is Collapse. So you can find her at mamaginamusic.com, and the link will be on our Facebook page. All right. Well, thank you for joining us tonight on our second episode
of Mischief, Magic, and Musings with Niko and the Witch.
The Witch and Niko. Good stuff. Thank you for tuning in. Again, if you have any questions or share your experiences, we'd love to hear how you guys connected with your spirit guides.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
You can leave us a voice message here, or you can find us on Facebook. Just look up Mischief, Magic, and Musings.
All right. Thank you for tuning in. Take care and be blessed.
Love and light, everybody.